Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Midnight Mailman bringing y'all another episode. Actually, this is the first episode of a new series. I'm going to be doing an entire PvP tournament of the Open Great League for Pokemon Go. So, to start off, we're going to be facing Liesbeth for the first round. And her team is Azumaril, Skarmory, Hitmonchan, Lanturn, Haunter, and Venusaur. My team is Defense Form Deoxys, Altaria, Steelix, Venusaur, Melmetal, and Sableye. So, noticing right off that Venusaur has a really positive matchup against most of her team. On top of that, Azumaril has a pretty okay matchup with most of my team. So I knew that Azumaril was probably going to be coming out from her end, so I knew I needed to bring Venusaur to compensate for that. So I decided to bring Venusaur, and I also brought Melmetal to be another backup against against Azumaril, excuse me. And to round it out, that would leave me incredibly weak to Hitmonchan, because Melmetal loses pretty bad to Hitmonchan, but also Venusaur doesn't really like it either. So I decided to bring Defense Form Deoxys to round out that weakness. And knowing that, it was probably a pretty safe match just to bring those three, and that's what I decided to do. And as I was expecting, she did end up bringing Azumaril, which gives in to my suspects that Azumaril is generally pretty safe against my team, and she ended up. So I led very well against her Azumaril, read her very well, and she switched straight to Skarmory. Skarmory is a hard counter to Venusaur, so I had to get out of there quick, and I decided to bring in Melmetal. Melmetal shouldn't take too much from the Sky Attack because it resists it, but those air slashes are adding up. You can see it's taking off a fair chunk, even though it resists air slash. It's just Skarmory is that strong. So I probably was going to have to shield one of these Sky Attacks if I wanted to keep my Melmetal healthy. Either that or just sack my entire Melmetal, which I definitely couldn't do because I could not let this Skarmory run free to do a lot of damage to my Defense Form Deoxys, or my Venusaur would just get destroyed by it. So I decided to shield it, and I knew I could make it to this next rock slide. Oh wait, no, I didn't know. I wasn't able to make it to that. If I spammed the rock slide, I might have been able to. And I decided to just finish it off with fast moves, so that when this next Pokemon comes in, I can hit it straight up with a Flash Cannon. It was either going to be Azumaril or probably one of her other Pokemon. As long as it wasn't Lanturn, like Flash Cannon just kind of destroys it. So as soon as I was like, I'll just hit it right off the bat and hope for the best, because I don't want it to faint right away. And I brought in Defense Form Deoxys because it resists the counters, and then it will deal back super effective with Psycho Boost. And also I wanted to preserve my Venusaur for this Azumaril. I was probably basically just won this as soon as I switched to Venusaur, because it just kind of defeats Azumaril. So, first match, I did pretty well. Going into my second match, I thought, well, she doesn't really have an answer to the three that I brought, so I'm just going to switch up the lead, because she's probably not going to lead Azumaril again, just knowing the three that I brought. And even if she does lead Azumaril again, Defense Form Deoxys doesn't have that bad of a matchup to it. So I decided it was safe to switch to my lead to Defense Form Deoxys and just bring Venusaur and Melmetal in the back. And so that's exactly what I did. She did make a switch. She ended up leading Venusaur instead of her Azumaril, which she didn't even bring Venusaur last match. she brought Skarmory, Azumaril, and Hitmonchan. So really interesting choice there. I'm not sure which one she dropped. I assume she probably brought Skarmory and Azumaril in the back. That's what I thought she would bring. I think she ended up bringing Azumaril and Hitmonchan in the back. I could be wrong on that. So Defense Form Deoxys actually trades with Venusaur in these no shield and one shield scenario, and loses in the two shield scenario because Venusaur is able to get to the last Frenzy Plant before Defense Form Deoxys gets to the last Psycho Boost, which kind of stinks. But it's overall not terrible for Defense Form Deoxys, and it ended up doing really well. You'll notice that I didn't use the Psycho Boost on this Azumaril, and I decided that I wanted to save the Psycho Boost for a later time, potentially against Hitmonchan, or potentially a Rock Slide against Skarmory, just in case. And there she is. She ended up switching to Hitmonchan, and I kind of figured this was gonna happen. If she had Skarmory in the back, this probably would have been pretty bad for me, because I would have lost my Melmetal to her Azumaril if she shielded that second Flash Cannon, or my next set of charge moves, which would have been really hard to take down her Skarmory with just Defense Form Deoxys at half health. But maybe since I had a Rock Slide charged, it would have been terrible. But I think I would have lost if she had Skarmory in the back. So I think for her, having Skarmory in the back would have made more sense against my team, but that's fine. I ended up winning that next match by beating her closely to the next set of charge moves. I beat her with my Venusaur to Frenzy Plant before her next Ice Punch with Hitmonchan, and then I also beat her to Frenzy Plant before she could get off an Ice Beam with Azumaril. So really close matches, close last match, but I ended up pulling out the sweep. So really happy with my performance. I look forward to the next round, and I hope y'all enjoyed that last nail biting match, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye bye.